Hi, everyone. I'm back to talk with you about Wednesday and Wednesday's daily schedule. Your assignment number one for Wednesday is to spend up to 30 minutes listening to someone else read and perform the text of John 1 through 18 for you. You can spend up to 30 minutes doing this, but what I want you to do is to watch and listen to an actor named Brad Sherrill perform the text live for an audience in a church and on video for you at the link that I've provided in the course Canvas page. After you've watched and listened to Brad perform John 1, verses 1 through 18, and I want you to listen, pause, reflect, make any notes you want in your journal, and then repeat that process. But after you've done that, ask yourself, what stuck out to me as I watched and listened? Why do I think that happened? Did I hear something different in this performance than I'd heard before in John chapter 1 and the prologue? What was it that I heard? Did any part of Brad's performing of the text feel like God's Spirit was speaking through Brad to me? In what way? How could I take this as a story about my experience and use it in some way in my ministry as I work with this text and with people who are involved in my ministry? A side note here, during my ministry, I asked Brad to come and perform this text and others from the Gospel of John, in fact, the whole of the Gospel of John, for a congregation that I was pastoring. Hearing the text performed this way as he read it to us was transformative. As we listened to all of John's Gospel, spoken, read to us, performed for us, as it would have been very much in the first century. Sadly, Brad is no longer performing the Gospel, nor is there a video of his complete performance of the Gospel of John. But having watched one short clip, I'm sure you'll be able to tell how listening to the text, when it's spoken or read aloud and performed like this, can help you hear things in the text that you may not have heard before, or at least hear things differently. And this can happen whenever someone else gives voice back to the text, as if it was being spoken rather than just read aloud, even if you're not a professional. I put some more information on the Canvas course page that's optional, that will help you move more deeply into an understanding of performance criticism and how you might learn more about it and use it in your ministry. But I want to move on now to assignment number 2 for this Wednesday. Assignment number 2 is this. I want you to spend an hour today learning how to compare translations using your biblical software. I've put information about how to do that in the Canvas course page. Here's assignment number 3 for Wednesday. I want you to spend an hour sometime on this Wednesday reading some of the commentary by Dr. Edward Klink in his commentary on the Gospel of John. Spend up to an hour doing this. And I want you to read the commentary selectively. What do I mean by that? Well, I mean read the commentary where it makes comments on pieces of the text, words, phrases, clauses, or verses that you've become interested in the work that you've done in the course this week on our text so far. What have you gotten interested in as you've read the text silently? What have you gotten interested in as you read it out loud? What have you got interested in as you listened and watched the text performed for you just a moment ago by Brad Sherrill? What have you gotten interested in as you've read and analyzed the text read for you by Dr. Rod Plomer in A Daily Dose of Greek? What did you get interested in as you spent time and examined? What parts of the text do you want to dig deeper into and study more in depth? Now listen to me. This is important. Very seldom in my ministry did I find it fruitful to try to read a commentary on a text at the beginning of my preparation time from beginning to end. Reading a commentary that way was not fruitful for me, at least not reading it that way first. It was much more fruitful for me always to develop an interest in a text that was my interest, and to let God's Spirit lead me to develop an interest in some way in some part of the text, and then dig deeper into that part as I interacted with a commentary. For it's through the parts of the text that mean something to you that the text will become meaningful through you to others, because those are the parts of the text where God has spoken to you and aroused your passion, and you will communicate them passionately through ministry to others. So try to use the commentary to interact with what you've become interested in terms of the text so far. I call this selective or interactive reading, entering into conversation with a commentary. Too many people read a commentary first and let the commentary dictate to them what's going to be interesting about a passage. There's a place for reading a commentary to let it show you things that you may have missed, that you need to know about, and that you can use. But let that be the second part of your conversation with a commentary as you do exegesis. Do your own work on a text first. Develop your own points of interest in it. Then go to the commentary and see how it responds to your interests first. Then let it speak back to you and add more things to the list of interests that might be worth observing or interpreting or applying from the text. Finally, on this Wednesday, this evening, I want you to spend some time in assignment 4. I want you to spend up to 30 minutes with a friend of mine. Her name is Becky Bettridge. Becky is a spiritual director and a gifted one in my experience. Here's her picture and something that she wrote about herself. It's in the Canvas course page. And then you'll find an audio file where Becky will lead you through something that she calls imaginative listening. I want you to listen to her on the audio. I want you to let her voice lead you. And as you do, let God, who created you in God's image with your imagination, lead your imagination to encounter John chapter 1, verses 1 through 18, the Johannine prologue, in this way, through imaginative listening. After you've listened to her lead you in the audio, spend a few minutes reflecting and journaling on what the exercise may have added to your experience with the text this week. How did it help you imagine the text? How did it help you enter into it and see it and hear it in your imagination? How did it help the text come alive and speak to you? How might you employ something like imaginative listening in your ministry in some way? Well, that's it for Wednesday. I'll come back to you with our final video for this week on Thursday in the next video.